my mom would come over to help me as much as she could, but when she wasn't there, it was kind of like a struggle for me. I was on maternity leave. My boyfriend at the time was working full time, so he was only home for like the first week or 2 weeks, and then it was just me. So I think the lowest moments was when I wasn't getting any sleep. I was completely exhausted, like beyond measures, like extremely, extremely tired. Layla was continuously crying. I felt extremely unhappy. I'm like, why did I do this? Like, I feel so unhappy right now. If I didn't have her here, I could be in my bed sleeping. I could be living my life. I could be doing something else. I wouldn't have to be taking care of this kid. And it's like, all these thoughts and these emotions just flowing through my mind. I'm crying. I'm upset. She's crying. And I couldn't take it anymore. It's like, it was just so much. Like, and they say that the baby can kind of feel your stress and feel your sadness. So she's crying. She's upset. Constant. Like I said, she was a fussy baby. And you feel like you've done all that you can, and you don't get any sleep, and you're just like, I wish I never did this before. I wish I never did this at all. I wish I never went through with the pregnancy. I should have got an abortion. Like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? I should be back to normal. Why am I feeling so depressed? I remember I would go in the bathroom and I would talk to my mom and I would cry because I was so emotional. Because I was, and I had a sense of postpartum. I don't know if it was like a full-blown postpartum, but I know that it was my hormones were off. My hormones were off balance. And my mom told me, she was like, you're strong. You know that you could do this. You know it's normal. You're going to get back to normal. Your hormones are just all over the place. And I would Google articles trying to find reassurance. Like, I'm okay. I'm fine. Like, this is not postpartum depression. It's just my hormones all over the place. And then, I would find myself, and they say one common thing is like losing your temper with a newborn. And I lost mine so many times, like, and being completely open and honest about it. Times where she's crying and I'm home alone with her. She's been up since like 3 a.m. It's now like 1 p.m. in the afternoon and I still haven't slept, and you're crying, you're driving me crazy. And I'm like, we don't even have a bond. Like, you don't, like, I just met, like, you feel like I don't even know this baby. Like, who are you? Like, you're crying, you're screaming, and you just lose your temper. And I remember just yelling at her, and I'm like, and I never forget, it's like 1 p.m., I'm home by myself, and she was next to me. She wouldn't sleep. And I'm like, I wish I never had you. Like, and I'm just venting to her. And I'm like, I wish I never had you. I didn't want to even do this parenthood. I'm just kind of going in. I'm saying how unhappy I am. I don't want no more kids after you. Just all these bad vibes, and I was speaking all this bad energy to her. And I never forget, she looked at me, and I'm about to cry. And I'm sorry. 1 second. She looked at me, and she stopped crying. And I stopped crying, and I stopped yelling at her. Because I felt like she felt that energy from me. And I just started praying because I felt like I was losing myself. And I remember writing a letter. That was helpful too. I wrote out my emotions. And on the letter, my husband now, he found it and he read it. And he said, I didn't even know you were feeling that way. I was like almost 6 weeks in to being postpartum. He had no idea I was going through that. Because I bottled it all in because I didn't want him like judging me that I was a bad mom. So, and that was hard, like trying to front like, oh, I'm so happy to be a mom. But because you got your mom and your future mother-in-law and your sisters, and being a mom is supposed to be like joyful, like you're not supposed to be angry. So I bottled that all in like all the time. So I remember he found the letter and he read it, and I was embarrassed because it was just like a letter of me venting, but he comforted me. But the biggest lesson I took from that is to never bottle that all in, because you're going to explode, and it's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for your mental health, because that's important, because you have to be, you have to take care of your mindset before, you go into this motherhood and try to mother and parent throughout the day. So, but that was like a little bit of my lowest moments, and kind of thinking back about it, I still am emotional about it because, even though my child now is 4.5, I still get like little bits of struggles here and there. Just because it's still not as easy. It's like, those struggles are still there, but it reminds me to never kind of get to that point ever again. And to constantly like talk to somebody.
I mean, because as you can imagine, I have trust issues. It's affected my relationships with friends, with boyfriends. I start to get close to somebody and I'm like, how do I know he's not gonna play me? And that comes from the childhood trust issues, and then the two serious relationships I had, those trust. So I've literally always had something traumatic happening, and I'm standoffish a little bit. And and the best thing about now and loving mental health and being in health and wellness is that I can recognize the signs. I can recognize when it's actually me and not them, and I have to say, oh shoot, I'm sorry. It's really me. I don't know how to make it this far, or to trust that this is not going to happen, or because all I can actually experience is there's always pain at the end of everything, except with my kids and except with my brother and my sister. So to answer your question, because I kind of went left, I would. That would be the change. If it wasn't, the change would be to reach out to my oldest sister, and she's the oldest. So I'm 27. She's just turned 43. So there was a big enough gap that I could have confided in her, and she'd have went back to her mom like, Mom, yeah, no, this isn't right. We need to do something. And rather than just a couple of years older, and it's like, okay, well, you're just talking to your sibling type of thing. So yeah, I would.
I think the only thing that I had an expectation over was me and her relationship and our bond, and that is everything that I thought it was going to be. Okay. How she is as a child, how like I am as a mom. Like I said, like we're growing up together because I had her when I was 20. So our bond, though, I had an expectation like I'm going to be so close to my daughter. Like she's going to tell me everything. And even though she's in her stage of like, Mom, back up, she's still like, we just have this understanding, this connection from what I know, from what I understand. She either playing me or she just, she real genuine. But it's like our bond is there. Like it's something that can never be broken.
So did you have a plan on how you was going to go about, like, she's going to tell me everything, or you kind of just like, I just know we're going to have that bond? Like, did you say, like,
I just wanted it.
You just wanted it?
I just wanted it. I didn't have a plan. And then our lives just played out that way. Mm-hmm. Certain circumstances, it's just always just been me and her, so.
What has been the biggest challenge of raising a daughter? And I know you don't necessarily have, like, something to compare it to as far as, like, oh, I got a boy and I got a girl.
Right.
But what has been one of the hardest things? Because I see a lot of times that women will have the hardest time raising the girls because they will try to say, I want you to be everything I wasn't, mm-hmm. and more. Mm-hmm. I don't want you to make the same mistakes I did. Right. So what has been some of the...
that presents itself as a challenge sometimes, but I try to catch myself. She reminds me of that. Like I said, I give her the opportunity to have a voice in a very respectful way. I support her in whoever she decides to be. And the way in which me and her relationship work is I tell her, like, you can choose whatever extracurricular activity you want. You can be a soccer player, you can be a softball player, you can be a dancer, you can be a YouTuber, you can be whatever you want, but you're gonna have to do it to the best of your ability. Show up, bring your best, and she'll let me know when it's just like, Mom, I feel like you're trying to make me be something that you want me to be. And she'll tell me, and we have that space where I'm like, okay, you know what? You're right. Let me dial back a little bit, but it gotta be something other than just school that you're showing up and you're showing your best effort, you're showing your creativity. And I guess that would be a challenge because it's hard because I'm always like battling with like, yeah, but just I see this in you. Go for it, go do it. And she don't be trying to hear that. She's a great dancer. She's been dancing since she came out of me. And I'm like, you want to shout out to this dance class? You want to do this? And she's like, I just want to kind of do that as like a fun hobby thing. I don't really want to like do that. I was like, but you're so good at it. Like you can be recording this, you can be doing this. She's like, Mom, you trying to make me be a dancer and I don't want to be a dancer. So she want to do other stuff. She want to be a soccer player.
Okay, so if her grandparents were available to take her that weekend, I used that as an opportunity to have me time, That was the way I found a balance. Like, I've never put my responsibilities off on anyone because I knew at the end of the day she was my child. I brought her into this world, so she relies and depends on me for everything. And if I get a break, then I'm going to take the break because, but I never expected a break. I never, made people feel like it was their job to cut me a break. Do you know what I mean? I think, just like I said, just growing up and having to be responsible of things that I wasn't supposed to be responsible of, I carried that into my motherhood and the way I did things. I was like, this is nobody's responsibility but my own. So if I get lucky enough to get a babysitter this weekend or for a couple hours, then I'm going to take advantage of that. So like I said, when the situation and the opportunity presented itself, if her grandparents wanted her, if my mom decided to want to keep her, if my cousin, who is, close in age with me, asked for her, those were the times that I made time for myself. Those were the times that I was like, mommy got to have her me time, and this is it. So that's kind of how I balanced it out.
So it's going back to what you said, it takes a village to raise a baby. So the thing I would suggest to new moms is reach out to all the resources you can get. So during my pregnancy, I had my parents, I had my best friends, I had aunts, I had uncles that were amazing to me. But I also reached out to all the service I can through WIC, so getting a peer support person. And I also got a doula during my pregnancy, which was amazing. I got it towards the end of my pregnancy. I reached out to a doula, and they are amazing. She basically talked to me about natural birth and breastfeeding and everything like that. So now I'm actually in a breastfeeding moms group, which is very supportive as well. And I also reached out to the prenatal perinatal network, which also gives me a support person as well. So I reached out to basically every resource that I can. If they said it's for new moms, it's for parents, I did it.
So, fast forward, here I am, a mother of a wonderful, smart, intelligent 4-year-old who is my life, who is everything. I look back at those hard moments and know that God placed me in, he gave me her for a reason. And I couldn't be more proud of who she's becoming, how smart and intelligent she is. And she reminds me daily how much she loves me, and how important I am to her. And she's so concerned about me, and she cares for me, and I just love her to death. And looking back, it gets easier, it gets better. Them rainy days don't last forever. You just have to keep yourself encouraged, keep a support system, and know that nothing lasts forever. It's not permanent. Your today will be better than your yesterday. And know that, it's going to be struggles and bumps and roads, but just know if you keep this, someone once told me that motherhood is the most rewarding and unrewarding job at the same time. If you can kind of keep that in your mind, knowing that there's going to be so many unrewarding moments, but those rewarding moments is going to trump that all, and just keep that in your mind.
Literally last week, she was just like, Mom, I know you just be trying to love me, but you just be trying to give me all the love at one time, and I just don't need it right now.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah,
All
she said that last.
love at one time. What does that mean to you?
I thought it meant I was just treating her like a baby and just being too much over her. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, I'll pull it back a little bit. I'll give you your space. But part of me feels like, I don't know, if I'm not what's going on and how are you? Are you okay? What do you need? Then I'm neglecting her a little bit.
Because you keep going back to that young self?
I don't know. You about to make me cry. I don't know. I don't know.
What your daughter is saying to you is a trigger without you even knowing it. And what you're doing to your daughter is a trigger. Based off of what you're saying, everything you've told me up to this point is coming back to that.
Yeah.
Do you have that need filled? Do you have somebody telling you you can do whatever you put your mind to?
Mm-mm.
So you're trying to be to someone that you wish you can have still to this day. So it's you can't heal from it.
Right.
If you're still in that space,
Dealing with
you're
it.
still there.
Right.
How old were you at that time?
Depends on what the thing was. tons of things.
Let's just say 12. You're still 12.
Right.
You're 32, but you're still 12.
Right.
So there's no way for us to get to where we want to go if we're still 12.
Right.
So it's
How
like,
do you not become 12? How do you become 13 and 14?
only
Emotionally.
only you can answer that. But as long as you have that, we're having this conversation now. You feel like it's coming to the light.
Right.
Now you feel it. That's why your eyes are watering up because now it's real now. So now that it's real, you're like, oh, okay.
I can do it.
Let me sit about that.
Right.
You know, let me write about that. Let me
Right.
write all that out and see what happens. And
Right.
put that out there.
Right.
So it's like that's why I was so like adamant about this because I'm like, what we do to our children is a reflection. We are a mirror of our parents.
Mm-hmm.
We are a product of our environment,
Mm-hmm.
for good and for bad. And it's like what your parents did or what they didn't do wasn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just how you perceived it, like I said earlier about your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel it from you when you talk about it, when you say, I'm going to give you your space. But I feel uncomfortable hearing you say that because you don't mean it.
I do.
You don't mean it because you don't want to, because you're saying like, why are you rejecting me? Do you feel rejected when she sees that? When she said
Sometimes.
that? Yeah.
Sometimes. I understand where she's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And she's getting older too. So I'm like, okay. I don't know. I remember when I was 11, I would have loved if my mom paid attention to me like I pay attention to her.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard for me to be like, what do I do then? So I'm like training myself like, okay, focus on the things that you want to do. But then I guess I have like that guilt to be, I don't want her to feel like I'm not focusing on her. I'm just leaving her to the wolves. And especially in like today's world, if you're don't know what's going on with your young girls, it's they're fair game to this crazy world. So I'm like, I'm trying to find a balance between giving you your space, but still being a very present mom.
Right. So let's take it back a little bit. Why do you think your mom didn't give you that?
She had other children that she was focusing on, and she was going through other things. We had a cousin come live with us, so my cousin had her family. She had a mom and a dad, but they didn't want her. So my mom was literally like all in on making sure she was okay, and we kind of just were. And I'm more of the sensitive child in the family. My brother and sister was like, okay, bye.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not like that. So.
That's a very common thing. I hear that a lot as far as like, I don't want her to feel like she's not having something or she doesn't have someone to love. So they overly love the child that comes into the house. Mm. And without them realizing it, it takes away
from their own children.
That's there.
Yeah.
So.
And there's no space to like talk out that feeling with my mom. She won't hear it.
So was she so she wasn't easy to talk to?
Mm-mm.
Why not?
Mm-hmm. She's just not. That's just how she is.
Was it more so about like she didn't have the language to talk about it, or she was just more so about like you're a child, I'm an adult, we don't have those kind of conversations? Yeah,
totally. She's still like that. Like with my daughter, she'll be like, she'll say like, why you asking her what she want? And I'm just like, because I want to know how she feels. She's a human being. But my mom and my family, like, they don't. You're a kid.
Medicine. I got an epidural, and then my baby came. Labor was nothing that I can expect, but it is true what they say. After you have your baby, you forget about all of that pain, and it's worth it. So I didn't have that moment. Everybody says, like, you have that moment when the baby first lays on your chest, you're just so in love. When they laid the baby on my chest, I was like, okay, give it off of me. Do what you got to do. Like, I've been doctors touching me and everything. I'm over it. But then I had that moment when I was breastfeeding. So what I would say to new moms, too, is every experience is different. So don't think that just because everybody else has that first moment when you lay the baby on their chest, and if you don't have that, it's something wrong with you. No. I had that moment when I was breastfeeding, going through the hospital. The first few nights. First night was amazing. I said, wow, I'm having a perfect baby. She slept. She woke up when she was supposed to. I fed her every 3 hours. I'm like, I'm going to have a good baby. The second night, she was up literally all night. So I was also saying, no, my baby is not going to go to the nursery when I'm in the hospital. That night, she went to the nursery after staying up all day. So honestly, what I learned through motherhood is sometimes your plan is not going to work. So just go with it. Different things, you have to make decisions on different points, and that's a part of motherhood. Maybe when you don't least expect it, your decision that you thought you were going to make is going to change. So that's what I had to learn. Like, I had to just go through the motions, and you have to do what's best for you and your baby. Now fast forward to a month. My baby is a month. She's a little over a month, and motherhood is amazing. At first, I said, I don't know if I like this because she's not on schedule. She's not sleeping. I'm up all night. I'm still in pain. I had a 2nd-degree tear when I delivered her, so I'm still in pain. Yeah, I'm like, this is just all horrible. But as the weeks went on, it just got better. And now, like, motherhood is just amazing. She has a routine, and we both just get to know your baby, and they get to know you. So it's just like, now it's amazing. Like, when I'm away from her, I'm like, no, I want to go back to my baby. I'm just glued to her. Like, it's just amazing. And also, the father has came around, and he's much better. He loves our baby. He's there. So the main thing I would say to mothers, a new mother, whether you're single, whether you're going through it with somebody else, is to make the best decisions for you and your baby. Whatever that means, just do it. And you can get through it. No matter what it looks like today, you're going to get through it. And motherhood is amazing.
Your circumstances don't define you. At 17, I got pregnant. But before then, I didn't expect to get pregnant. I didn't know what to expect. But I guess the best piece of advice is don't let your circumstances define you. Don't beat yourself up over the things that you're going to experience in life. Life is all about learning lessons, and it's really like, did you learn something from it? Did you grow? Did you, receive something from that experience? And just to, always keep pushing forward, even when things feel, when you're, at your lowest, at your darkest, when you can't even see into the next day, just keep pushing. Like, don't get stuck in that sorrow and those feelings of hurt, because there's so much more out there, just do your best to just heal from the things that have hurt you, so that you're not going through life making these crazy impulsive decisions or beating yourself up or just not even being able to grow as a person because you just stood stuck in that hurt.
My biggest word of advice that I would give to 18-year-old Sierra is be honest about your feelings and about your emotions, and reach out to someone, and don't feel ashamed for how you feel, because everything that you feel is real, and the more you express how you feel, someone can help you and lead you on a better path than you trying to do it all by yourself. Don't try to do it all by yourself.
Do you feel like you had a village?
I feel like I had a village of people telling me what to do, but not a village of people listening to me. Telling me which is the good way, which is a bad way, but never listening to what I thought my way was, or what I wanted my way to be, or what my way was in the moment, and helping me weed through it. It was always good or bad.
Based on what you just said, do you think your daughter would say those same things?
I don't think so. Based off of our conversations, I never tell her that's not good, that's not bad. I just try to emphasize, like, talk to me, number one. And whatever you decide, whatever you choose to be, give it your all, though. Don't be just running through it.
Right.
Show up.
It's whatever it is that you want to do in life, you just got to stay focused, and that there's gonna be setbacks. Even though you're out of whatever situation you were in, there's gonna be setbacks. You might fail a semester. You might, get held up at work a little bit. You might lose your job and have to go get a new one. Those minor setbacks are literally just minor, and you have to set a lot of short-term goals. When you go through as much as I went through, you can't say in 10 years from now, in 5 years from now, this is what I want to do. No, we got to be more realistic. What are we going to do in a year? What's our year goal? Set small goals. And you're going to have your sad days. You're going to be depressed some days, but you got to get up. And more importantly, for me it was, because Adrian is only 2, so for me it was always looking at Aiden. And I'm like, Aiden needs me to get up. Aiden needs me to get to work today. Aiden needs me to finish this degree, even though I now have an extra semester to complete. And so for me it was, you want to sit back and think about your kids, Even if for some reason you're so tired and you're so drained and you can't do it for yourself, you got 2 little boys looking at you. And you need to get up. That's just that. And for that, Aiden has actually caused me to get up and get a lot done. And I actually had my sister for 4 years. One of my younger sisters, she had learning disabilities, and I was 19 when I got her, brand new baby, and she was 12. That was also challenging. So for a lot of it for me was, Aiden and Mary needs me to get up and get moving. They're looking at me. They're seeing mommy is, just sitting on the couch sad today, don't want to go outside. No, set a lot of short-term goals with a realistic long-term goal and get up. Your kids are watching you. My goal was that my son will see me walk stage. And I fell behind a semester, and things got put off because I got pregnant early. My son watched me walk for my associates, and he watched me walk for my bachelor's. But they were short-term goals. I couldn't think when they said, Alicia, go right for your 4-year degree. I said, 4-year degree? Yeah, no. For me, it was that 2-year degree. I was like, all right. But then once I seen I did that, I was like, okay. So in just 2 more years, I can get here. So I think a lot of times it's just knowing that you can do it. Set realistic goals, and even if it doesn't seem realistic, still put it in your list of things. Write it down. I wrote mine down. It's on a sticky note at home right now, a few more things I want to do. It's just to remind you, like, okay, I'm going to get there. And when you start seeing yourself checking them off, it's like, okay, I did that. And it gives you a little bit more boost that you could do it again. So the advice I would give is set them short-term goals. Get up. It's okay to have a day and to have a weekend and cry and lay on the couch, let the kids go to uncle's house or TT house or wherever, or let them watch TV while you have your day or your weekend. But come Sunday morning or Monday morning, you get back up and you handle what you got to handle. And that's just because you want your kids to be strong-minded, independent individuals, and you don't never want them to experience what you've experienced. And more importantly, there's people who experience things that I've experienced and still have overcome it and are these awesome people today, meaning you can do it, So you're not the only person who's been through something like this and you're now stuck. You could do it. There's people who's done it. So.